So to kick off our scales practice this week, we are doing broken chords. We're going to do a C major and an A minor. It's very similar to the arpeggios we did in the last lesson, but they're set out in a slightly different way. So let's take a look. So the C major broken chord, it's very, very similar to the arpeggio that we learned in the last lesson. You're using the same notes, the C major triad, C, E and G. Now the difference here is with the arpeggio, you're using all the 4-note chord with the top C as well, and you're just going up and down in the arpeggio, like we learned in the last lesson. For the broken chord, this is all about chord positions. So it's a pattern we're playing, and we're using the root position of the chord, which is of course the C in the bottom. We're using the first position of the chord, which is the E in the bottom, and we're using the second position of the chord, which is the G in the bottom. So these are those inversions we were talking about: root, first inversion, second inversion, or position, whatever you want to call it. So what we're doing is going through these 3 positions, but in a broken style. And this is where your fingering also comes in, because it can get a bit tricky if your fingers aren't playing the right notes. So for the first part, we're going to use 1, 3 and 5. So our thumb, middle finger and little finger, 1, 3, 5. And then we move on to the second position, and you're going to use 1, 2 and 5. Okay, but you do it in the broken style. So we start with C, E, G, and then we move to E, G, C. And we're using 1, 3, 5, and then 1, 2, 5. And then for the last one, which is the second position, which is G, C and E, we're using 1, 3, 5 again. So that's the fingering: 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5. And you end on the C. So you remember to end on that C. Ending on that C. And to come down, you're doing exactly the same, but coming down. So you've got the second position, G, C and E, 1, 3 and 5, and then you've got 1, 2 and 5 starting on the E, and 1, 3 and 5 starting on the C. So to come down, so for each part of this broken chord, it is just a position of the chord. So to start with, root position, then first position, and then second position. And we end on that C. And on the way down, we're just doing that second position again, and then the first position, and then the root position. And we end on the G. So practice your right hand nice and slowly until you've got that going fluidly, and then you can give your left hand a go. Now the left hand is exactly the same in that we start on root position and then move to first and then move to second, but the fingering's slightly different. For the left hand we use 5, 3, 1, and then 5, 3, 1 again, and then 5, 2, 1. And end on the C, and the same on the way down. 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, end on the G. So left hand, nice and slowly. mind, you've just got to think of the 3 positions of the chord. Root position, first position, second position. And if you think of it like that, you'll always remember where you're supposed to be. So practice both your right and your left hand. You don't need to play this hands together. You only need to play this for an exam, right hand on its own and left hand on its own. But of course you can do if you fancy. So you also need to learn the A minor. This is the relative minor to the C major. So your 3 positions you need to be thinking about are the root position, A, C and E. And then you've got your first position, C, E and A, and your second position, E, A and C. Fingering is exactly the same. 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5. And then you end on the A. And then to come down exactly the same. 5, 3, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 3, 1. And end on the E. So the A minor, nice and slowly, broken chord. And exactly the same with the left. We have the root position, and then we have the first position, and then we have the second position. And remember, in your left hand, the fingering is 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, and 1, 2, 5. So make sure you're practicing these broken chords because we need it to be really even. It needs to sound even and you need to be applying the same pressure as you go up and down the broken chord. And it's very easy to get louder as you go up and quieter as you come down, but we need it to be nice and even. And this is great for our finger strength as well. Your arpeggios and your broken chords are really important parts of your practice, so please do these regularly. I will add it as your scales practice for this week, so try and give it a go every day if you can.